as she approaches the apex of her gifts. Now, joining the Crumbs in conversation is an old friend, a pillar of the publishing industry, their longtime editor, the venerable Bob Weil. Woo! Our program will consist of a discussion between our guests, headed by Mr. Weil, followed by a brief Q&A period with the audience should we have time. As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no live book signing component to our program. Sophie and Crumb have generously signed copies of their books, which are for sale right behind you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn the floor over to Bob Weil.
Thank you. First of all, Maria, Miles, and Dave and the team here at Barnes & Noble are so fantastic, and we just, first of all, want to thank them. I'll start on a funny note. I'm Bob Weil. I've known Mr. Crumb. I've known Mr. Crumb, as I call him, and he calls me since 2004, and I've been his editor. And many of you were here last year for this huge event at Barnes & Noble, which was really scary and crazy. And it was, you know, Crumb's first work in a long time. And I'll tell you something weird tonight. Weird is a real Crumb word. I think this event tonight, and I genuinely mean this, is just as historic. Sophie Crumb, and we'll tell you more about her work, I think is a genius. And you are here as if you're at an early Warhol event. No, I believe. Okay, I will stop. But it says, first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about Sophie. She's been published in Vogue, V, Nylon, Vice. There will be a huge piece about her in the New York Times Magazine next week. And this book is very original. Ignore her art. I don't know of any other book, and Robert, you might know this, where two parents have obsessively hoarded and collected over 10,000 pieces of a child's art and have then selected maybe 300 of them to put in a book so that you see every facet of child development. I simply don't know anything like that. So in that way, ignoring the art, the book is a first of its
It's
kind.
not every facet.
No.
Some facets aren't shown because it would have had to be a 1,000-page book to show every facet.
A 2,000-page book. But first of all, since the Crumbs just arrived on Saturday, and this is Sophie's first appearance since 2008 in New York.
Woo!
And Robert hasn't been here, well, you were briefly here on the screen. We have gifts.
I'm in and out of here.
We have, all of us in New York have gifts for the Crumbs.
Gifts?
Gifts. So, I will
like presents.
go open this first, Mr. Crumb, and Sophie, this is for you and your baby. And you'll have to...
Thanks, Bob.
Just for Christmas, mine has Christmas motifs on the wrap.
Go ahead.
I checked with your wife, and she said that you would like this, and this would be a great gift to give on stage because
Underwear?
you have to, and you have to tell them why you're getting this
I
gift.
didn't tell him.
You didn't? No, you didn't tell them. And this is a ritual. When Mr. Crumb comes to New York, he always gets this gift. You'll have to explain why.
It's really underwear.
Are they
Underwear.
There's boxer shorts.
traditional cut?
Yes, they're 32 March. Great, thank you so much.
Now, why can't you get these in France?
I don't
Aileen says they make underwear that's too sexy there.
It's too tight. It's not comfortable.
Well, anyway, and a little gift for you, so
boxer shorts? Is that too much to ask?
I don't think so. That's part of an editorial.
That's the
And
next
just
book.
so, and this is something Elizabeth Riley, our publicist, got for you, Sophie, today.
Thank you so much.
Oh, our pleasure. This comes from your wife.
Would that you were here today. Aww.
Who is this for, Sophie?
My son. Thanks, Elizabeth.
And this is for Eli. So something for them to remember New York.
He trained.
Now, before we start,
Thank you.
Before we start, Aileen asked me to mention that Sophie has a show starting on Thursday called Sophie Crumb Self-Portrait 2010. It runs from November 4th through December 30th at the DCKT Contemporary Gallery, 195 Bowery at Spring Street. And I'm told that the works are already beginning to sell. The opening is on Thursday, so for all of you, and we'll see a bunch of Sophie's images, you can see the opening of this show. Now, I gather from, just to go to the show briefly, it's different from your art. It's not from your sketchbooks. What would you say this shows? What is it of?
It's watercolors, paintings, more rendering than sketchbook art that's in the book. Completely different. I did the art for the show.
Is it celebrities?
Some of it, yeah. Some I took from tabloids. The photos that stood out the most to me in their grotesque beauty. I like rendering Britney Spears' shaved head and Paris Hilton, you know,
I mean,
in all her beauty.
I
Stuff like that. And other stuff too in the show.
I sort of get an image that you render celebrities the way they don't want to be seen, the way they really look.
I copy the photographs and they come out the way they come out. I don't try to deform them, but they deform themselves on their own. I don't need to exaggerate or deform them at all. They come out some sort of grotesque deformity on their own. That's what's interesting about copying photos to me.
Thank you. What do you think, Robert?
That summed it up, yeah.
Good. I think we should first go to the book and say how it all began. And why don't we go to image 1? Sophie was last in New York in July of 2008 in the now defunct Comfort Diner on West 23rd Street between 5th and 6th.
It's gone?
It's gone, sorry. We were devastated. Anyway, we were at the table, and why don't you guys explain what happened?
Well, I don't remember.
Me either.
We were at placemats.
We were eating, we drew on the napkin.
You were drawing napkins, and here was Sophie. You drew the image of the lady cutting the girl's hair, and Robert, you drew the image on
No,
the
she's
right.
smoking. She's not cutting her hair.
Oh, I thought she was...
Bob, you're such an unvisual guy. He's a literary guy, isn't he?
Well, I may be literary, but when I saw that, and I saw how quickly you drew that, and I was flabbergasted, I said, I want a book from Sophie.
Oh, thanks.
And it was an alien at the end said, here.
She always rips out the drawings and like puts them in a folder and keeps them. And she's like,
Well, this is the genesis of this book. So this is where Sophie Crumb's not the genesis of all your art, but why
not
don't
the
we...
genesis.
No, not the genesis. Robert, why don't you tell the story? Why did you and your wife start beginning collecting Sophie's
No, but
art?
basically it's thanks to you that the book exists because you saw that drawing.
Nah.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We can start. The book is divided into 6 parts. The first part begins when Sophie is 2½, and I think it continues until you leave the United States.
Not until now.
No, the part 1.
Oh, the first part, sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
1
And it
till 9 or something.
And it shows early, first of all, we have a statement from Alien's mother. This is the cover. And then we have 2 statements. This is a portrait you drew of your mom.
Yeah, she didn't like it too much. Not very flattering.
Not very glamorous.
Normally on that drawing it says, I look like Nanny, which is her grandmother.
And let's go to the next image, which is a word. This is a word from Alien.
What are you showing this for? They gotta read this on the
No, why do you